Well, when you talk basketball in this state, there is no man bigger than the one that's got his autograph down there at Titanium Arena, Brett Maher.
I feel a little bit, how do you do here? I mean, from what they tell me, my dad told me that you were a fair player.
I was okay.
Yeah,
I was okay.
My daddy used to watch you.
Did he?
Whatever.
Yeah, that's good. Anyway, Brett Maher joins us. Marzi, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Well, mate, we want to get to the basketball at some stage and talk about the Sixers and everything, NBL, mate, but the World Sports Tours. Brett Maher's a part of that. Tell us a little bit about World Sports Tours.
Yeah, we've set up this business which takes young school kids and school teams and club teams, and we take them over to international destinations to play against high schools and club teams over there. So for basketball, we take the teams over to America and do certain tours over there at different times of the year. So the middle of the year is when all the college scouts are out, the tournaments are on, so we can enter them into those and get really high exposure for those kids that want to get into that. And then the most probably Prolific, that's the word. Tours are...
I used to help me out as a coach.
Are in November, December. Are in November, December, so a lot of teams go over there and do the Pacific Northwest or go down to Texas and North Carolina and into LA, and we get them in, play games, tournaments, they go to Disneyland and go watch NBA, NCAA, etc. So that's been a lot of fun, but we've also branched out into some other sports.
Yeah, so you've got soccer, netball, cricket, 2 tours for soccer, 2 for netball, 2 for cricket. Both all go to New Zealand.
Yeah,
and
so the
other ones go into England. So one tour, obviously, if it's netball, is going to England, one's going to New Zealand. Same for soccer, same for cricket. How did the branch out occur?
Well, just through my contacts and some people I was dealing with said, oh, look, we'd love to send our school soccer team or netball team over to England and have that experience as well. So we set them up. The netball teams follow similar to the basketball teams in America. They follow a path around. They start up in Bristol, work their way down past Stonehenge to Portsmouth, come back up to Windsor and into London. So they get to see a lot of London and England, and we also get some sightseeing as well as some great games for them. The cricket's based up in Leicester, which is pretty much the home of cricket up there in England, and start an academy. They get specialised coaching in there. They get to go see some games. They get to play against some of the local teams there as well in a lot of different formats as well. So that's a real good experience. And then the soccer's based up in Manchester, so they're an academy there and get a similar sort of thing with some really good coaches. They get some games and they get to experience a lot of England as well.
When you talk about taking these tours away, you're talking about basketball, cricket and whatever. Cricket, for instance, let's say cricket. Do you send a cricketer with them? Or does...
Generally, they're the team plus the coach and a manager that goes. Yeah. We set up all the sporting events for them. Yeah. I partner with Phil Hoffman Travel, which is the best travel agency in Australia for the last 13 odd years, and they set up all the logistics for these tours with the flights, accommodation, rental vans and all that sort of stuff as well.
Because we spoke off air a little bit about the tours, because tours used to be really popular, Phil, once upon a time. You'd be all over the world. It was Phil Hoffman that spoke to me originally about doing a little trip to South Africa with a tour to watch a few test matches and whatever, which is why I asked you the question, is, a basketballer, will you go, or someone of your ilk, go with that tour and take the tour and spend the time with them, or is it just you set up the itinerary and then let the school run the show?
Yeah, typically we just set up the tour, give them all the information. We've got a contact over in England that'll meet them on the ground over there as well, make sure everything's going well. Yeah. We've got people over in the States as well that do the same thing and help set up the games. Speaking with Mark Davis just last week, who was looking at hosting a tour and taking a group over to LA and Vegas and New York and potentially down to Philly where he's from, which would be an unbelievable tour. So that sort of thing is also in the works as well.
Okay. Yeah,
any basketball on that tour, or just gambling and having fun, mate?
A lot of fun.
On that tour. I'd imagine if you go with Mark, he's a ripping bloke. Mate, just quickly get at the NBL. The Sixers this year, they're still a little bit up and down at the moment.
They're about where I predicted they'd be early on, but I think they surprised everyone with the pre-season, winning the pre-season tournament and then getting off to a reasonably good start early. But I think with injuries to Ramon Moore has really, that really hurt them. I thought they probably could have won the Brisbane game if he was, the Brisbane games if he was there, which would have had them right up near the top of the ladder. But yeah, I think they're doing okay. We were saying they're not playing overly badly, but they've lost a few close games, and the league is going to be very tight again this year. And there's a few other teams that I think should be a bit more worried. We were talking about Sydney just before, and with all that talent, there comes a lot of pressure, and we don't probably have the names on the list that they have. But I think I've been really happy with some of the imports. I think Wiley has been very good. His enthusiasm and athleticism has been really good. From what I understand, De Leon isn't the highest paid import out there, so they're probably getting their money's worth out of him. And I just love what Ramon Moore. I think he's a good quality import.
And Joey's getting a bit aggro. He wants to toughen up again.
Joey's always a bit
well,
aggro.
We've got a cricket team that we want to soften down a little bit. The basketball team
Well, he said a few things about Sobey and DJ last week about him not playing defence, and probably warranted.
Yeah.
But I don't know how those guys are going to react to those sorts of comments. We'll see. See how they bounce.
Because he was straight at him, wasn't he? He doesn't muck around, Joey, right?
He doesn't really hold favourites, and I've spoken to him over the years, and he doesn't hold back on anyone. So if the stud player in the team's not performing, he'll go at him and certainly let him know.
Yeah.
And have you seen his coaching? I mean, last year they were in the finals and they were a chance to win it. This year they're kind of teetering, and all of a sudden there's this Kevin Brooks as being anointed as the next coach of the Adelaide Sixers, and you play with KB, and I have the utmost respect for KB having coached him. Is he the next man? If Joey was to leave at the end of the year and pursue his NBA dream, does KB automatically become the man?
I don't know these days if you can automatically appoint someone. He obviously knows the systems, he knows the guys that's there, but just seeing I don't know who else is around at the moment. I'm probably not close enough to know, well, there's probably these 3 or 4 guys that you would definitely consider at the moment. You look at AFL and there's always those guys that have coached before in the background that can sometimes be a really good alternative. But KB's done a fair bit of his time now as an assistant coach. I'm not sure how he would go as a head coach, so that'd be an interesting one.
I reckon it'd be a different personality. I think Joey is that guy that's hard at you. That's his mantra. He had some success with it.
Yeah.
KB, I think, has got that in him, but he's a bit more relaxed, a little bit more. It would be an interesting dynamic to see how the change would go on.
Yeah, I think Joey's doing a pretty good job. Just going back to that, I think when you look at probably the salaries that he's got on his list as opposed to some of the salaries that are elsewhere, if you look at, say, a Melbourne, a Sydney, New Zealand, Brisbane, Perth.
Why is that?
I would imagine they're all paying a fair bit more than what Adelaide's paying this year.
Their owners have got more money. Oh, the salary cap, please.
Yeah. And unfortunately, when the owner of the league owns a couple of the teams, you can't really...
Oh, okay.
There's a few problems associated with that. Wow. Not that we don't like what Larry Kesselman's done.
We love what Larry Kesselman's done,
He has been amazing for the league, and I think the longer he can stick around and have an influence on the league has just been growing and growing. And I've loved seeing these NBA games in the pre-season. I think it's been great for exposure of our game here in Australia.
So what would the difference be between Sydney's pay packet to our pay packet?
I would imagine it'd be double.
Is that right?
Yeah, I would think so.
I never knew that. I thought there must be a cap in there. You can't go over
soft cap. It's called a soft cap.
Soft cap.
Soft.
Oh,
Plus,
okay.
you got the marquee. You got the marquee rule in that as well now, which opens it up for them to pay a lot more if they want to. So you look at someone like a Bogut. I'd imagine if they've got him on a marquee, he could be getting as much as $1 million on a marquee rule. I'm not really sure, but you look at their list: Lish, Newley, Randall. Those guys are all going to be on some big bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been through that. I mean, you were through that time with the Sixers where we were in the top 2 or 3 paying teams for probably 4 or 5 years. Yeah. We certainly weren't in the top 2. We were under 3, 4, 5. But then the club went into receivership, so suddenly in a much worse predicament than the club's in right now. You can't compete. It's impossible. Yeah. So they're kind of in that mid where they're going to hang around, but the odds are stacked against them.
And you look at the results over the last 10 years. The clubs with the money surprisingly, the clubs that have been winning, Perth, New Zealand, they're the two richest clubs in the league.
Yeah.
They've pretty much won nearly every championship in the last 10 years.
And we've got Sydney coming up. Again, our bunnies. Yeah, bunnies.
They
Well,
are.
it's probably good that we are playing them now. We need a win.
That's right, we need a win.
We do match up well, and I think one of those factors is DJ against Bogut is a really good matchup for us. I mean, Bogut's been starting to hit his stride.
Yes, he has.
He had a few nice dunks in the last game, or the game against Illawarra Wollongong. But DJ, I think, is a hard matchup for him just because he's so quick.
Yeah.
It takes him out on the perimeter. He can hit the three, but he's got a really quick first step. And I think Bogut prefers to play against those bigger, slower guys that he would normally match up against in the NBA.
Adelaide can be way too quick. Saturday, 2 o'clock, it'll be on. The Sixers will get up. But just quickly, if we want to get involved with the World Sports Tours, how do we get in touch?
Yeah, just jump on our website, worldsportstours.com.au. It's got all the information there. Got my phone number and details. Just get hold of me and I'll set you on the right path.
All right, Brett Maher, our special guest. Stay with us. Still more to come.